This puff pastry comes together with just a few ingredients, super flaky, easy to make. You will be obsessed. What's up, friends? Natalia here with Mom's Dish. Welcome back to another week of recipe. We are excited because we're making puff pastry dough. It is way easier to make it at home than you may think. Probably will save you more time than you would actually go to a grocery store to pick it up. As long as you have some muscle, 15 minutes of your time, and you can easily make this at home. So let's get started. Here are the ingredients you will need for the recipe. We have extra cold water. It actually has ice cubes in it, frozen butter, salt, and flour. I like to freeze my flour like for 10 minutes right before we're making it. That way everything's super cold, and that's the secret to making puff pastry super flaky and amazing. We're gonna start with a pinch of salt and just toss it together with the flour. And if you're using salted butter, you can skip the salt part. And then here's what I like to do with butter. I like to coat it in flour. That way it doesn't stick to your hands. And then I also like to coat my grater. So I'm gonna use this side right here for the grater. And I'm gonna grate it as we go. So as I go, I toss this butter on the bottom into the flour. That way it doesn't stick together. And I keep doing it until we run out of butter. Okay, at this point, it may look like you have way more butter than flour, but that's totally normal. Just give it a last toss together, and then we're gonna add water to the mix. If you still have the ice cube in there, go ahead and hold back the ice cube. We're just gonna toss in the water. Just work everything together, and you gotta work really quick. You don't want the butter to melt. I do the first part with a spatula because hands tend to be warm and they melt the butter. So as much as you can, combine together with a spatula, and the rest work by hand, but work quick. Doesn't need to be like doughy dough at first because it will glutenise in the fridge, but you just want everything to be combined together. And when I say glutenized, I don't know if that's the right term, but everything will pretty much come together. You want the dough to rest for about 30 minutes or an hour before you make anything out of it. So oftentimes, if you make it overnight, that's the perfect timing for it. My dough came together. It's a little crumbly, but it's totally fine. It's gonna glutenize in the fridge. I am gonna wrap it in plastic and leave it in there at least for 30 minutes or so before we roll it out and work with the dough. Just like this, and this will do its magic, but you can see that the dough is just still really crumbly. This is the flakes and layers that you wanna get in your puff pastry dough. This will bake nicely and be nice and fluffy on the inside. But you see those layers? That's how your dough should look like. I kind of tap on the corners like this to give it a nice square. Trying this for the first time. I think it's a good idea. It'll give it a nice shape. We're gonna flour the surface very lightly. The dough should not be sticky because the butter is cold. If your dough gets sticky, you wanna wrap it back up and put it back in the fridge. But a little bit of flour you definitely do need. And we're gonna roll this out into a sheet, and then you can use it for baking. I like to do 2 sheets. That way I'm not working with too much dough. I'm feeling like this French pastry chef. Actually, when we traveled in Italy, they would have these pastry chefs by the glass windows, and we would watch them roll out dough, and it was like magical. It was like my favorite part of the Italy trip. You wanna keep the edges as smooth as possible. Typically, here's what you can do. You can fold it over one time again, and then keep doing this until you get that perfect shape. I'm actually gonna fold over this edge right here and gonna roll it out again. But people call this rough pastry dough because it's really just kind of rough in it. If you end up freezing the dough, I would highly recommend completely thawing the dough right before using it. Don't unfold it because it will break apart. So just leave it in the room temperature for probably 10 minutes, and then you can work with the dough. See, mine is starting to stick a little bit. Just tiny bit of flour will help, and I'm gonna put it back in the fridge in a minute here. And I will let it refrigerate for about 30 more minutes, and then we can make pastries. Depending where you're gonna bake with this is how thick you want to roll it out. This is good for me. I am gonna fold it over. You can use parchment paper to line it, You don't have to if you flour just slightly, just a little bit for dusting. And fold it over one time, second time, and this is how it looks like. We're all done. You guys, it's a wrap for this recipe. We made this beautiful flaky puff pastry, and you can make this palmiers. We have this recipe on Mom's Dish, and also these apple turnovers have been so popular, especially in the fall season. So both of the recipes are on the blog, plus we have many more. So if you search for puff pastries on momsdish.com, you will find so many options. Well, YouTube friends, all the recipe details are down below. You can click on the details there. Thank you so much for comments, for subscribing. We see them all, and I love interacting with you. If you haven't said hi to us, I want to hear from you, so definitely leave a comment, at least a hi, and we will definitely see you next week. Bye.